Hi guys, and welcome to my stream. Uh, Daily I'm streaming my coding live. Currently I'm working uh, on a encryption app, which is like many you probably see online if you look for something like AES encryption online. Hi guys, and welcome to my stream. I'm sorry this I can hear myself. Because it's open in another window, sorry. Um, So I'm working on an encryption app. I'm using Cypress as a testing framework. So let's start with opening Cypress and my React app. Yarn Cypress open is to start Cypress, and yarn start is used to start the project. I will make text bigger so that it's mobile friendly, more mobile friendly. How do I make it bigger? Control plus plus. If you click Control and plus in VS Code, then you can make everything bigger. Or if you click Control plus minus, I mean Control and minus at the same time, then you will make everything smaller. Same thing you can do in Chrome actually. Yeah, same thing. You're using Control and plus or minus. So here are my Cypress tests. Let's check, because in the last stream I didn't even check them. Okay, actually for them to run, the app itself needs to build, and I think it hasn't built yet. Yeah, now everything is built. So on the last stream I added a couple things. I think this I already completed, but I still don't have a test for this. So when an element is selected to be an AS transform element, in the transformation selection dropdown, the user should see input with a random key. Let us open the app and I'll explain what this is talking about. If we select here encryption, there should be some random key. That's what it's saying. So this element, this input element, we need to understand how we can select it in Cypress. It has ID, TRS, AES options key. I think we can use this ID to check it in Cypress. So then in Cypress we just add another test. I don't remember, and I'm inserting whole wording. It's a little too verbose, but what can you do? So now to select an element on the screen, you can use cy.get, and then you need to provide CSS selector. So our CSS selector is this. Since this is an ID, we can select, we need to use hash. So we get these options key, and we expect it to not to be empty. I think not to be empty, but only after we select transform element. We also need to select transform element in the drop down AS transform element. So let me run just this test for now. It should be before 21. Okay, so what's happening here? Timed out retrying. So actually it's failing for some reason. Cypress is not properly considering value. Yeah, I think empty means nothing is inside the tag. So let me try to think. Should not have value. I don't know a way how you can check if there is anything in the input with Cypress. I think I can Google this. How to check if anything is inside the input element with Cypress. Let me check. Get the domain containing the text. I don't know, let me try to do it like this. Should have value, should not have value this. Okay, let's try. So this works actually, but we need to make sure that it also works here, because oh no, this will not work here. Yeah, I think this is fine actually. Value should not be empty basically, or maybe value get, no, it's not like this. It's value should not be empty. I wonder. Yeah, I think this is also fine. Get properties value on the previously yielded subject. Notify the value. Yeah. Anyway, I think both these ways should work fine, but I need to make sure. Let me first set it to empty. Set key to empty. We can do this in Redux. So where do we create key? I think I'm using crypto. Yes, here we create a key. Let's say we do not create an empty. Okay, it's rebuilding. Okay. I think we need to set it to something. Yeah, right, because this will be used as key by default. So we'll have actually many more issues. So it's not even possible to not have any key, I think. Let's not do this now. Let's proceed to the next. I think maybe I will check this later to make sure if it's working or not. 20 when an element is selected to be in you should see an IV input. So IV input is the same, but only difference is I need to check a different input field. Yeah, there should be a different input field. Let me check what is its ID. TRSAS options IV. Other than that, it is the same. Check if input not empty Cypress. Okay, let me just change this ticket. Yeah, I think this should be fine. Okay. Now I wanted to proceed to some styling changes because currently I'm having a style issue. I'll show you. You see, all this is behind transforms. Title is behind actual panels, which is not good. So what I want to do, I want to check why this happens. First of all, I already know why this happens. I actually have a flex box here. Here. All this is a flex box, I think. Yes, this is a flex with flex direction column. So normally this other element which contains all transforms settings. This other element overlays transforms. Why this happens, you might ask. Actually, this happens because we don't have padding set. So this is the reason. Actually, if you set some padding on an element, then this padding will not be taken into account when positioning elements in the flex box and for some other things too. So if we remove this padding and padding top, suddenly everything becomes fine again. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to remove these paddings from my transform element and change them, but I still need some spacing here, right? So to get this spacing, I will need to use margin on the contents instead. So let's try to do that now. Here I have padding and padding top, and I'm removing this now. I'm removing this. This is the wrong window. And so here I will want to set margin on all the contents. If I set margin, then I will also need to set, I think, to set width probably. Let me first set margin. 5 pixels, I guess. No, actually margin works fine. Yeah, however, I set margin, I immediately seen issues with this positioning. Yeah, I think I need to change width also. I think it's set to 100%. Yeah, width is set to 100%. So I will probably want it to be smaller. But I think it's not changing anything from what I see. No, it's not doing anything. Why? Yeah, I think it's not the thing I need to change, but instead this margin I want here. Okay, and now I had that issue I suppose I will have from the beginning. Now it is partly cut. So for that I would need to set width, I think. That's what I wanted to do today. But somehow this width should be equal to margin. You see the point? Margin 4% and width 92%. 4% everywhere, meaning 4% also on the left and on the right. So 4 plus 4 equals 8. So that's why with 92%, 100 minus 8 and margin 4% I set. Or maybe we can do even with 2%, and here we can set maybe 96. Nah, I think 4%, maybe 3%. 3% might be better. Okay. Okay, and now we need to set the CSS somewhere inside our CSS and JS stylings. So there are several elements. We have input button here and the drop down. To both of them we will want to apply our CSS. I'm thinking how to do this so that I don't have to apply it manually every time. And we can't use CSS, normal CSS here. I mean, what if I tried to apply it to just all children of TRS transforms element? No, not this element. What if I tried to apply it to all children of TRS transforms element? I wonder if this would work. Maybe I could set it here. As a root element. Yeah, but how do I apply it then? That's an interesting stuff. Yeah, I could apply it manually to every element, of course. Like here, I have classes element. Here it will be easy. I'm just using it here. What was that margin? I think 3%. And what else was there? Margin and width. And width is 94%. So this should apply to every element. And drop down selection, transform selection drop down, I would need to apply here. Sorry. Transform I would need to apply it here to the form control element. I could set this to 96 and this margin to 3%. Oh, 94, I mean. Let's see. Oh, I think we're getting somewhere. Other issue with the style is that we need more space for our transform elements. I'm thinking what I can do here. The obvious way would be to make input and output smaller. So let us try this. All panels are kept inside the main script component element. So inside the main script component we have input transforms panel and output panel. Let's start with the input panel. TRS panel, I think I applied it to TRS panel somewhere. Applied the CSS probably using CSS files. Yeah, here I applied it. So that's what I'm going to remove. Well, width I think I can keep. We can remove. But height will be different for every component. Everything was 30% of screen height. I can instead change it to like 25% for input and output, and maybe 40% for transforms panel. Let's try this. Panel. So width, I will set this to 25% of screen height. Panel.width. Oh no. Classes.panel. And here I'm applying classes which are set inside this object. We get it from use styles function. Here we have our classes, and here we can apply them. So now that we applied it, we also need to apply the same to output panel. Same thing I will have for output panel. Classes.panel, and a little different thing I will have for transforms panel. Here we'll set width to 40% of screen height. Not here, but here. Now I think it should be fine. It should become bigger. Oops. What happened there? Okay. Something happened to the width. Yeah, because I set width instead of height. Oh, what am I doing? What was I thinking about? Yeah. Now we have more space inside the transforms panel. Let's see. I would also move this button, I think, to the top right corner. Yeah, I think this would be a good idea. Now it should be fine. Let me try moving it. Output, no, not output panel. Transform element component. So this icon button, we could try and move it somewhere here. But some CSS changes will be needed. Oh, sorry, not here, but here. Why actually? There I think it could also be. Yeah, too much space is taken here. Which I think is coming from so this from this MIUI icon button root. Text line center font size. I would actually want to move this button to the right, but it looks like these are predefined. classes, so maybe I can do this button a little differently. And instead of icon button, I can just use just this close button directly as the the close button directly. I can use this close icon, I think. Yeah, but somehow now I don't have some animation things. Yeah, I don't want button. Okay, forget about button. Hold on, what's happening? So I could just style this button myself. But then what's the point in using a framework, a UI framework, if you have to style everything yourself, right? Right. So with float right and some margin, I can give it like 4 pixels. And some hover effects I would also need, right? I think it's like cursor pointer. Yeah, now cursor is changing. The button is not changing on hover though, but I think I can live with that. So for these, I would define a new style. Close button. Okay, there is already close button. I'm not sure what it's doing. I think that's some old thing which I don't need anymore. So I'm going to define it here. And apply it here. Okay, now I think this close button will work just as well as the old button. Okay, I think enough styling for today. Later I will check more to make this look better, because labels, they are overlapping other input elements, which is not good. And here also we see label directly in the drop down, which is also not how it's supposed to be, but that was because I did not have enough space before. Now I have much more space for all the options. So let's proceed to different AES encryption keys, because now only it will work only with the 128-bit key. The point is, if we try to select a different key, we will immediately have our app crash, which should never happen actually. Yes, user can input some invalid data maybe, but in this case we shouldn't crash the app. Instead, user should see some error message. I'm thinking of adding this error message directly in the output panel instead of this whole element. I'm thinking to create an error element here, and if we have an error during encryption process, then we will just show an error here instead of showing encoding selector and output. So let's first create this error element. I think I will not do anything hard with this element. Let it be just red text, and that's it. Just red text, and we will remove old elements. So let me create a component. I will call it, I think it can be a subcomponent, which I can create inside the output panel component. Yeah, I will create it here. Error element component TSX. Or error message component. Let's be error message component. So here I'm going to use the snippet I created in day 6, I think. So I'm just starting to type RFC, and here I immediately see the snippet. So I'm clicking tab, and here I have already component set up. I only enter component name, error message component, and here I already have a component connected to Redux even. So this will be just error text. I only need to set its width and height. Its width and height will be basically more or less equal to the container size. I think I will set it to like 90% and also give it some border. So first we create our style object. We create useStyleHook. This is material UI. I'm reminding you that I'm using. So in material UI they're using make styles to create style, and I think it should normally return a function. Return a function which will return our component. Okay, theme. We'll have just one entry here. Style container. No, error message container. And I will set its width to 90%, height to also 90%, and I will also need some border. Let's say 1 pixel solid black. So now we get our classes defined in that component. So useStyle function now will return us an object containing class names for each key. So we'll get class names which apply the given styles, and then we only need to use these classes use style. Now we only need to apply these classes. Class name, I will give it some default class name. TRS, I'm always scoping my CSS, like classes, IDs, I always scope them so that if you have CSS from other libraries, you don't have name clashes or something. So TRS, I can call it error message container. And here I applying this class, oops, not here. And here I'm applying this class from make styles, error message container. And inside this we will have actual error message. So error message. I think I can set width to be much smaller, maybe 30%, and height also like 30%. And I will set text color to red. TRS error message, and I'm applying this class too. Okay, so error message component should be fine. Only thing we need is to provide it actual error message somehow. We can either get it from Redux. I think we could get it from Redux. This is fine. Where is our reducers? Inside this state, I think I can create output error, which is a string, but can also be nothing. We can also omit it, right? Const error message. We will get it from our state, so we need to provide state from Redux. To the props. So I'm also adding it to the interface. Since I'm using TypeScript, I have to specify it in the interface too. So props state output error, and this output error will be here. Okay, now we need to show this message in case there is some output error set. I think this we can do here. Yes, let me look at this main element area. Here I might import it. Oops, sorry, this is transform element component. This is the wrong component. We want error in the output. Oops, actually also wrong. I created it. No, not in the wrong. I correctly created it. So here we all want it. Error message component here. By default, it shouldn't be shown. So let me define it like this. Let contents. I will define a separate variable with default contents, which will be this. This content should contain a single element. I think this might lead to issues. Let me try anyway. Left side of comma operator. Okay, now it's fine. Let me remove this thing and insert it here. Let me look at this now. Yeah, now CSS got broken. Hold on. I'm going to fix it now. So classes panel. What does it have? Height 25 VH and panel header. So that panel actually doesn't do any specific. Oh no, there is a lot of classes here actually. Let me check what I can do. There are many CSS which I set before using CSS modules. Where are they? Inside the main screen component, yes. So you see there are some CSS which I applied to TRS panel, which is this element. So at that point I supposed that everything will be inside of this panel. Okay, I think I can apply same thing basically to the next panel. What is the problem? I don't see. I can apply this to this, right? Main contents. I will call it like this and apply same thing. Well, width I think we need to set to 100% here. Margin 10 pixels, probably we don't need it, but display flex we do need. And flex direction we also need. Yeah, I could do it like this actually. No need to use inverted commas, quotes I mean. Okay, what's wrong now? The left hand side of an arithmetic operator must be of type any must be of type any number, big int or an enum type. What? What are you saying? I'm pretty sure that this is not correct. Error. Okay, now you're happy. Right. Padding top was wrongly spelled. Now it's correct. Okay, now we have main contents, which I will apply to this element so that we have display flex and all the other stuff we had before. Classes main contents. Okay, let's look now. Width is still text area, height set to 170. This is something I don't completely get. Display flex direction, padding top. If this is how 240 looks like, I mean 270 looks like, no, it's definitely not taking this. No, it's taking this. Why is it 270? Tell me, please. I don't understand it. Let me remove it. So we have some margin set there. Okay, I would remove padding. Yeah, padding is the thing we don't want anywhere. I'm removing padding, and I'm making this height smaller. But I'm not sure where is it set. TRS text area is saying 270. How it can be 270? Because it's definitely too much. But it should be anyway set in percent, and it should not be sent inside the CSS modules. I'm removing this. I will set it inside here instead. Yeah, but I wonder what happens with this if I change it, because this one seems to be. What if I set height in percentage? Let's say 18%, 80% I mean. So I'm just changing it to 80% for now. I don't get it. Somehow here it's like this, but here it's yeah, because here the height is different. Container's height is different. Container here is this one. What? No, it's not the container. I'm sorry. This is the container. Width 100% and height 100%. Yeah, that's what I should have done. Not here. Width and height 100%. All right. Now I think this looks better. So now only thing I need is to show error component in case we have some error. So this will be the default contents, but if we have an error in our Redux state, props state output error, then our components instead be error message component. Const error, oh no, what I'm doing, contents equals this basically. Yeah, and then in this case it will instead show error message component instead of these contents, default contents. So let me now check how it's showing by just modifying Redux state. Let me modify Redux state here. We can set default state. In default state we can specify output error. Some error occurred. Oops. And check what will happen here. Oops. Yeah, this is not what I wanted. I wanted it to be centered properly. But we can do that. We can do that just here. Or maybe we can just set margin auto. I guess if I set this margin auto, yeah, it will center. And same thing here. I can do margin auto, I think. Just use margin auto. Yeah, it centered it vertically but not horizontally. Yeah, because this, I think. No, no, not because of this. Yeah, here it will not center it with margin auto, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I think the easiest way to do this actually is with Flexbox. That's what I'm doing all the time. Display flex and margin auto. Yeah, display flex and margin auto will center it inside the screen. So that's what you should remember. Display flex on container and margin auto on the content. This will center it inside the screen. Somehow I don't like the style of this error pop-up still. And okay, let me first fix the centering. Where is our error message component? Error message container and output panel. So output panel, output panel I don't have to do anything, just with error message component. This I will set margin to auto and error message margin auto and also display flex here. Display flex and here just margin auto. And this should center it. Yeah, now it's centered. So normally this error shouldn't be happening, so let me now remove this default error. Oops, this default error. This error might happen during encoding. During encoding. So what I would like to do is just take this into a big try catch block. Let's do this by default. If no state, if there is a state, then here we can start our try catch block. I think here. So because encoding might fail, let's not have any illusions. It might fail, and it might fail frequently, and we shouldn't crash our app every time this happens. So I can set now new state output error to error message. This is just the most basic thing we could do. Let's try now and do some key changes. Okay, now let's change the key. Yeah, now we got invalid key length 16. Somehow I would like this text to be centered inside also. Yeah, that's what I should do. Since error messages shouldn't be too big, I hope. I don't need actually this width height. I just need here. Yeah, I don't need this width and height, I think, inside this error message component. Output panel error message component. This width and height 30% I don't really need. So that's good, actually. Now we have, at least now we have user-friendly message when we have an error, but now what we will want is to fix this error. So 16 means 16 bytes. 16 bytes, this is 128 bits. So this is the default key created. So when we change to 192 bits, still old key remained, and so that's why it's complaining about invalid key length. I think we will check it on the next stream. I'm gonna be ending today's stream. I think 20 I also completed. I will move it to done. So thank you for watching. Tune in tomorrow too, same time, 10:30 UTC. I will be continuing working on that app. I'm not sure what exactly I'm going to do tomorrow, but there are many minor changes which should be fixed. For example, here you see when I select ES encrypt, and let's say when I'm using still alt key now. Let's say I'm using this key. Oh, why it's not changing? So that's another issue. Now we set error once and it remains here forever. That's what we shouldn't do. Okay, so tomorrow I will continue working on this. Thank you for watching. Bye.